I need you to really look into your hiring process. You have no really well-defined, scientifically backed way of hiring your team. You just don't. I was just invited by the AAO. I'm honored and humbled that next year in Philadelphia, I'll be speaking on the subject of how to hire properly. I'm not going to tell you I get it right every time, but I will tell you I've spent a lot of time with a lot of managers and trainers teaching me how to do this right. Hey there, everybody. It's Dr. Glenn Krieger here with another episode of your 5-Minute Friday. And today, I want to cover something that's painful for each and every one of us. Yes, it's our team. Now, if you've got the best team ever and you love them and they're the same team you've had for years, that's amazing. It's unheard of today. And do everything you can to keep them. But I would argue, based on all the discussions that people have had with me privately, that that could be the #1 stressor for orthodontists today. I get way more messages, and you're always welcome to send me messages. I always love engaging with you. But the #1 message I get is, this happened to my team, blah, 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 blah. How do I deal with it? You know, there are many messages I get. I just can't seem to make the kind of money I want to make. My overhead is too high, whatever it may be. But the team, far and away the most messages I get is about teams. I want to just hit 2 points on teams. The first is the current generation we hire. I'm not going to beat this one up. We've had conversations about this. We know the psychodynamics of the group that we're hiring. We know the alternatives are much more common today. The opportunity for a 23 or 22-year-old to go make a living far better than being a dental assistant or a front desk at an office is wide-ranging if they're a hustler. If they're a hustler. If they're looking to really hustle and sling, as they'd say, and make some money. The entrepreneurial world today is remarkable. I'm not talking about the get-rich-quick schemes. I'm talking about the quote-unquote Gary Vaynerchuk side hustle, right? The ability to build something on the side that can make you a constant flow of income is much greater today than it was, 5 years ago. The number of people who do Uber Eats, Lyft, things like that, also significantly higher. And for the record, when Uber first started, I would sit in the Uber and I'd say to the person, "Do you enjoy this?" And they'd be like, "No, I hate this. It sucks. I do it because I have to. It's my third job." If you remember asking those questions back in the day, you heard that a lot. Nowadays, I ask it of every Uber driver, as we're chatting, as I am wont to do. "Hey, by the way, do you enjoy this?" "Absolutely, love it. I do it whenever I want to do it. I make tons of money." And that's why you're not able to find the team you want to find, because there's so many viable options out there. And every 22-year-old Uber driver who's making, a fair amount of money every day because they're hustling, they're working 8 to 10 hours a day, they're not applying to your assisting position because of that, right? They get to make their own hours. And we know, again, the psychographics would tell us about our potential team members, our good team members. They're choosing other professions, simply put. And so what's left? Not necessarily the cream of the crop most of the time. And we get lucky with the one who wants to go to dental school from time to time. And they come into our lives, and I've always been a proponent of bringing them into our lives and giving them as much responsibility and knowing full well they're going to leave. Because sometimes plans change. And most importantly, if you can bring somebody really good into your team, even for a short period of time, do it. Even if they said to me, "I can only stay for 9 months, no problem. If they're really going to go to dental school, they'll become a decent assistant within 60 days. And at least I'll get 6 to 9 months out of them, and I know they're leaving, and I can always, find another assistant in that time frame, and maybe, just maybe, they have a friend who wants to step in, right? Birds of a feather." So again, just remember that about your team. #1, the group we're choosing from is tougher than it's ever been and more fickle. We won't even get into that. But #2, part of the reason you're having trouble is you. And I'm not talking about your personality or how you treat people or what have you. You can dive into that one all day long. I have no idea about you personally and whether or not you're a great leader. Do you micromanage? Do you not micromanage? Are you such a hands-off manager that your team has no level of understanding what they need to do and they get frustrated and leave, which is very, very, very common? Or are you micromanaging them and they feel like they've got no freedom? It's rare to find the manager who really is a good manager. It's rare in orthodontics. And I've seen a lot of teams. But that's not what we're talking about today. The second reason, and why it's you, is how you're hiring, right? You have no really well-defined, scientifically backed way of hiring your team. You just don't. I was just invited by the AAO. I'm honored and humbled that next year in Philadelphia, I'll be speaking on the subject of how to hire properly. I'm not going to tell you I get it right every time, but I will tell you I've spent a lot of time with a lot of managers and trainers teaching me how to do this right. And so I need you to really look into your hiring process. You already know the creme de la creme is probably not applying. For sure, the ones who are looking for a lifetime profession are not applying. We know that for a fact, that you're not getting people who are coming in and saying, I want to stay with you for 30 years, like my dad. I always joke about Carol Agugliaro. Love Carol. If you're out there listening, Carol, which I doubt you are, I love you. Carol was my dad's assistant or front desk from the time I was a little kid. She was at my bar mitzvah. She was at my wedding. You know, those days are gone, folks. They're gone. You may still have those people, but they're from a bygone era. It's very, very rare to find anybody who's going to come in. So hiring, you got to get it right. And you need to come up with systems, right? And there's many, many ways out there. EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System, has some great ways to hire that I like talking about and I will talk about in Philadelphia next year. But let's not blame it on the people we're hiring all the time. They came to you for a job, and yeah, they may not be the ideal person, but you know, the old saying or the song, if you can't be with the one you want, what's the old saying? Love the one you're with. And that's never truer than today, because you finding the team you really want is probably pretty difficult. But did you hire right? Did you even give yourself a fighting chance to hire right? And I'm not going to get into it now because it takes so long to discuss this. But you need to figure out, as EOS would say, are you putting the right person in the right seat? And if you even just Google that, you'll learn a lot about it. So are you going to Google or aren't you? How badly do you really want to change? Or are you just all lip service? You hate your team that you've got, or maybe you're unhappy with what you've got, or maybe you're frustrated all the time, but you're not even going to go Google right person, right seat, and then learn about it, and then hire that way, and set up the systems that way. So again, I'm not calling you out, but I'm calling you out. Because if you don't do it, I guess you're either got an amazing office and team and you don't want to change, or you're just too lazy to go ahead and move and change it. And I'm not telling you have to look it up right now, but you should look up right person, right seat, because that's the fundamentals of EOS on how to hire. And me personally, that's exactly how I hire. And do you get burned? Really rarely, especially if you train properly, but that's an altogether another situation. I hope you're registered for the Orthopreneurs Summit in Vegas. It's going to be remarkable. It's the first one we've ever done with clinical, and the list of people who are speaking is just insane. I'll defy you to find me a better meeting in 2025 than the Orthopreneurs Summit, which, incidentally, is in Vegas. So sign up. I don't even know the link right now off the top of my head because we literally are just opening up registration. But for you and your team, there will be no meeting that will give you a better ROI than Orthopreneurs Summit 2025 in Vegas. So reach out to me if you have any questions about anything I've spoken about. Much love to each and every one of you, and have a great day.